So good morning. Well, not the best start of the day. This girl here, she is one that calved 654. She calved yesterday. And what I do is, in this pen here, the cows can go out that door and they come around. And I close the gates there and they're able to come into the yard. This cow was moved from the calving pen here into here last night. And this morning I came out to milk her. And I noticed, she was on her own by the way, but this morning I noticed that when she went to get up on the cubicle, she was slow to get up, but she did get up. But when she backed off the cubicle, she just went down on the back legs. She didn't fall, she just nearly sat down on her back legs. And that left her just sitting along the edge of the cubicle in an awkward spot. So I managed to grab her by the head and just pull her off the cubicles. Which sounds simple, but she's a big cow, this one. A big heavy cow. It was no easy task, but I pulled her off that and then she was on the slats, which I hate cows that are bad on their feet on slats because they're dangerous. They're very, very dangerous. I wasn't going to try to put her up or anything, just leave her alone. Went off and milk me cows because I knew, I've seen this before, and I knew there's cows, if you leave them alone, they get up much quicker themselves. You got to try to force them to get up, and that's when you can do harm. So I just left her. Went on to my work. I was peeping out to the parlour door every so often, just fingers crossed that she'd be standing. But it didn't happen. But what she did do was, she moved herself around next to the door. She was trying to actually move herself out, and she had her head facing the door. So when I was done milking and when our job's done, I came in here and I took the timbers off the bottom of this here. I took off the barrier gate and her back was facing me here and her head facing the door, her hip over here. I tossed her around on her back. She was laying basically flat out here. And then I put a strap around her underneath her front two legs and I pulled her around. Once she's laying on her back, you don't do any harm to their legs or knees. Nothing's rubbing the ground. And I was able to pull her around and get her into this position here, and she almost got up. So what I think is probably milk fever, and I've given her 2 bottles of calcium, and that should definitely help her. Time will tell with her. We're going to leave her there. She's happy enough. I'm not going to touch her. I'm going to go on and do my jobs today and see what she does. And I have a feeling when she's left alone, she might just take a notion and jump up onto her feet. That's what I hope, anyway. Alright, so I'm just after taking all the timbers from the back of these pallets. There's it all. I'll have to denail them now in a few minutes. But these aren't the best pallets I've ever used for bedding calves because the gaps between the timbers is wider than I'd like. And I can't be putting gaps like that on because they're just borderline, and a calf would put his hoof down there and could break his leg very, very handy. So I'm going to have to use some of the ones I have over there and just narrow them gaps because I can't be having it like that. That's just dangerous. So we're going to narrow up these pallets, get them all ready and get them into the shed. Alright, so that's one done. That's what we're aiming towards there compared to the like of that. That there won't cause any problems with calves' feet. So I'm going to continue on with that. I'm not going to bother recording that. Same thing just over and over again. I'm actually denailing them and reusing a lot of them lats to fill up the gaps and using all the nails again. So waste not, want not. And I've all that done. I'm going to open up this shed and we're going to get all placed into a spot and nailed into place, and we're ready to rock then to get some calves in. That's the wrong bit. That's better. Just going to add this board here to keep them from coming apart. Well, there I see it. We're almost ready for calves. And believe me, you're probably watching this on video and thinking, God, it doesn't take very long to do them jobs. Well, I'm at that now for the last 4 hours. Just because I've been doing other jobs while I'm at this, I'm having to run back and forth. But it takes a lot of time to get these things done. But anyway, that is it done. That's it all set up. I have to put one more piece of timber across here. All the reason I put this along the front, the higher actually the better, is it keeps the bedding from coming down onto the floor. And pallets work absolutely brilliant for keeping the calves dry. I had to put a couple of pieces of timber on these and I'll raise this up maybe an inch off the ground, and that lets the urine and stuff all get out underneath, all the dampness get out underneath. I have that to do yet. The vet has been here and he just confirmed what I said myself, milk fever he thinks. So he gave her calcium into the vein. That does work much quicker. She was almost up, was just on the tip of her feet. She just needed that last little bit of a drive just to hold her weight, but she couldn't. And she's just sat back down again. She is a very heavy cow, so it's going to take a wee bit of time. That's right. Another down. I didn't ask the girls to come up and help me. They are there this morning, but it's Saturday, and you know what? They've had school all week, and they deserve a bit of time off as well. They're only young. I was well able to do it myself anyway. The only muggins, as we say, was Ruby. She gave me the most trouble. She went for a couple of leaps and dances and fell on the bottom of her jacket and just covered them up, but otherwise than that, they actually went down handy enough. I'm going to throw some crunch for them in that trot. They'll have a play and a dance around now, a bit more room as well. What I'll do now is I'll put at least four, up in their place where they come out of. I have this here ready for them to drink out of. So all I do is, sorry, a bit loud here. All I do now is flip this over to the side when I want to feed them. Then take it out, wash it, leave it that side there. I do have to replace a lot of these in here as well. They'll do tonight, but a lot of them is going to have to replace. You see that? They just get chewed out of it and they don't seem to last no length. Only 1 year and that's them kind of done. Now, I'm covered in muck in the middle of loads of jobs, but I have a good bit of news for you. And there's my good news there. Just literally now, I'm after getting her up. I just tried to raise her. She tried to get up herself a couple of times, but I got my hand underneath her and just give her one hell of a lift and hill her for about 5 minutes until either I was going to give out or she was going to give out, and luckily I was the one to give out and she stayed standing. That is the simplest way of putting it. I think the fact that she was laying was actually leaving her weak. Getting her on her feet like that, she's very, very shaky on her feet. You see that? Very shaky on her feet. But the longer she's standing, the better for her. Now, she has it everything. It looks to me now, the more I see her like that it is milk fever. That's the characteristics of it. So she's in the calving pen now with a good heavy bed of straw, and that should keep her from slipping. I'm going to give her some nuts here now, but it's lovely to see her up. You can see the size of her. She's a big cow, and that size kind of goes against her when she's trying to get up, because it's a big load to have to lift, and when the legs aren't full strength, it's quite understandable it's hard to get up. But taking that gate off there was worked a dream, and just being able to let her get up downhill, and that worked. Yeah, most farmers know how pleasing that is. We're just after finishing milking for this evening, and this girl was up, standing for about an hour and a half, which was really, really pleased to see. She's still quite shaky on her back feet, so I have to be really careful. This is just calcium. So any of you, when I said milk fever, if you're not from the farming background, you might know what that means, but you might have heard of hypoglycemia, which is a human term, which is basically the same thing. Happens usually within 24 hours, 48 hours after a cow calving, but it can happen, and I've seen it happen loads of times, weeks after the calf. So what we're going to do to counteract that, just like the vet did, he put the calcium into the vein. I had already given it on both shoulders, which I'm about to show you now. But one thing I'm going to actually add, because I remember these calcium bottles used to come with some magnesium in them. Magnesium is something you would give for grass tetany, not really for this. But I just talked to the vet about it, and he said actually yes, it would be a good idea to give some magnesium. So we're going to give both. Don't want to get the face. Well, there she is. There we go. So I'm going to put this little lad here over the top of this. I bought a new one today because my other one was about 15 years old and it was starting to show its age. So first thing I want to do is make sure that it runs. So hold it up and give it a wee squeeze, get it going. There it is. Just feed the needle in under the skin like that. I'm just going to hold this up in the air. Should start to bubble. Takes a wee while sometimes to get going. Bubbling there now. The higher you hold it, the better. I can tell you really, really good news, which is really pleasing. It's just gone 10:30 now this morning, and our calving pen is empty. So that's a start. Here in the corner, with the red on her back. Just stand over there in that far corner. There she is. Not a bother on her. You'll see her out in the yard now in a second, because we're going to actually start mixing our tanks here, getting ready to move some stuff, because over there we still got about a half a tank. Here we've got about a good, well, actually we've got about a quarter of a tank there. Here is full. This tank here always fills up because it's just one of those tanks. It catches an awful lot of rainwater. The mistake of this house when it was built in 1987 was it was built too low. It should have been built about 2 foot higher than what it is. Nothing you can do about it now. It's always going to sit low, and when you have a yard that's kind of everything sloping downwards and you're built into a hill, yeah, it was a bad choice. But anyway, look, it's not that big of an issue. What we do is, and probably a mistake, is I keep taking water out of it and putting it over to another tank and moving it over to different tanks, and what I should be doing is mixing it every single time before I move anything, because what ends up then is you get a thick tank, which I'm going to be basing now. What I'll do is I'll take about 4 or 5 tanks out of it, put it over in the far shed, getting ready for piping in about a month's time, and let it fill up with water again, then mix it, and keep doing that, and eventually it will loosen itself out. Anyway, that's it. You'll see her in a second now when we get her out in the yard, but that was good news. She was completely out of it this morning. You could see it bounce on her step, but she came running in to get milked, and I was over the moon to see that. It goes as quick as it comes. As long as you get it on time and the animal doesn't fall down and hurt itself, you're okay. That's her all greased up there now. Just when I'm using a grease gun, a lot of people just say, Adrian, go off and get yourself a battery grease gun, will you? It's far handier, far better yoke. I have a DeWalt 18 volt battery greaser. A good few people might have seen it in other videos on my channel. You'll probably see it later on in other videos as well. The one thing I will say about it is, it's grand, okay? It's grand now that I have it, I use it, but if I was to buy it again, I wouldn't. Unless it suits other people for other jobs, I don't find them that great of a job. They don't hold much grease for starters. The small grease cartridges, you go through them in no time, especially if you're greasing axles or something like that. The other thing is a wee bit fiddly when you're changing the grease cartridges as well. Look, it's not a big thing, but that day you just screw it out, screw another one in, and away you go. Another thing is that's so small. You can always hang it on the step of the tractor or something and always bring it with you. It's just so easy to just grab and grease. The other, well, you might have to charge a battery, you go look for a battery, and you kind of get what I'm going with. For the price of them, can't beat an ordinary standard manual grease gun. Now that I have both, that's what I'd use most of the time. That's the cows out of the shed now. They don't like being put out of their comfortable shed in the middle of the day. If she's hiding behind the rest of them, but she's there. You can see her anyway with the red on her. I'm not nigh her too much, but there she's with the red on her back. So yeah. Now before I do go on, I'm just in the parlour here to escape that wind. There's something there that was given to me around the time of the ploughing match. Basically it's called the white blade. It's this guy here, not the scraper, just this guy here. And there's the crowd there that does it, O'Neill white blade. There's the number and all, if you want to go and look it up yourself. They're supposed to be way more durable, way easier to push. That kind of was sceptical to me. I don't know what it is about it, it just glides over the ground. It's like a new blade all the time. It doesn't kink in the corners like the other ones do, so you can push it right up again, cubicles and stuff. I've been using that since about a week after the ploughing match. And it hasn't lost its shape or anything, so... Anyway, get on to the next job. I know a lot of you people are asking about the 300, how it's getting on, the Honda 300 that we're refurbishing. Well, it's almost finished. And this here, we'll put the cream in the crop. They're coming now shortly, so I have to get the rims prepared and get them on. But that's going to make some job of that quad. Otherwise, in here, we have 3 bull calves that will be leaving soon. 1 and 2, and that big guy in the very bottom. They'll be going now very shortly onto another farm. Here is our calves we put up. They're all nice and huddled together in their jackets. They're only after being fed there about an hour ago. I have to change the jacket on that calf there. The way he stands, the jacket does slip back. That's the problem with jackets being too big. I have to source out where my smaller jackets are. I know I've put them somewhere. I have to look tonight and see can I find them. But today I'm away to move Slurry now for the rest of the day and part of tomorrow as well, and we get them tanks completely sussed, but that's for another day. I'm going to leave it there for now. If you haven't already, don't forget, check out our fundraiser. We're trying to raise a few quid for Pieta House, help deal with mental health, but more importantly, we're just trying to raise the awareness of people, just to talk, open up and chat to someone, because it helped me. I definitely 100% guarantee it will help you. The link is in the description if you want to go and check that out. But anyway guys, I'm going to leave it there for now. Thanks very much for watching. Until the next one, talk to you again.